What's up to everybody out there, and welcome back to Pulse of the Cosmos. I am your astrologer, Emily, and today we're going to be taking a look at the astrology for Monday, May 18th of 2020 and see what's going on for the collective there. So let's get into it. I'm going to be sharing my screen. We do have the moon, which is going to be coming through Aries all day Monday. And to set the tone off for the day, the moon is going to be coming conjunct with Chiron here in Aries. So there's kind of a flip direction that can go on here. The moon is a very emotional, but also a very nurturing value because so it can start the day off coming conjunct with Chiron with kind of this need and this feeling and this desire to kind of look introspectively into some of the deeper wounds of your consciousness that may be going on, and maybe wanting to unpack those in some kind of way to articulate some kind of healing that can go on surrounding that. On the flip, it can make you start off the day with an emotionally wounded tone if you're not aware of the fact that these kind of responses are coming up as a way for you to kind of level the field there and look at what needs to be healed in those areas, and look at what parts of your ego, and look at maybe what attachments you have in that area that you need to be letting go of that are no longer resonating with what your true inner self is. Kind of shedding these parts of your ego that, as you've undergone this process of transformation, have revealed themselves as not part of who you want your true identity to be reflected as in this reality. And we do also have Monday as well. Mars has moved over here. He's a few degrees into Pisces over here. So Mars and Pisces can bring this kind of idea of kind of indiscriminate action, right? Indecisive. Pisces is a very fluid sign, right? This is mutable water. It just kind of goes with the flow. But then you have Mars, who rules Aries. This is cardinal fire. This is wanting to get things going. This is motion. This is action. This is decision. This is forward movement. So Mars in this position can feel a little stuck in the flow and almost a little uncomfortable there, right? But the way to reconcile these two energies, right, is to look for Mars is seeking to connect with things that connect with on an unconscious level, on a spiritual level. So look to the people in your life, and look to the places in your life, and look to the things in your life that you're finding this kind of unconscious emotional desire to connect with spiritually, because there's going to be a lot of that coming up as Mars is in Pisces, looking at the people in your life that resonate with you in that way, and taking action on the things in your life that are in alignment with those spiritual places that you are. We are still wrapping up with the sun over here in Taurus at 27 degrees. So the will is still focused on, where is your worth? Where is your value? Are you owning your worth at this point? Are you standing in your worth? Are you standing in your values? As we came through Aries season, we ascertained a new level of understanding of our consciousness. And coming through Taurus season, it's been putting the form around that idea and adding some values and adding some ideas and adding some worth around that sheer energy consciousness. So now it's time to stand in those values as we're coming through these last few degrees. We do have as well, the moon is going to be coming through later in the day through the rest of the degrees of Aries. He's not going to quite hit his square over to, or her square over to Pluto and Jupiter over here until tomorrow. But we will have, I want to touch on all these retrogrades that we have going on for a moment here, because we have Venus over here retrograde in Gemini. We have Saturn over here retrograde in Aquarius, Jupiter and Pluto over here retrograde in Capricorn. So this is a lot to unpack, and I want to just touch on it for a moment, because retrogrades are a really introspective time period, right? Because this is when the planet seems to go into retreat, right? It appears to be moving backwards in the sky. So it's a moment of just receiving kind of these introspective insights and taking the lessons from those certain areas of your life. So as we look at Venus, right, retrograde over here in Pisces, and later this week she's going to go back to 20 degrees and come back into this exact square over here with Neptune, although we're still feeling it here with her at 21. So but with Venus retrograde here, The focus is on looking at the way that you've been engaging with the relationships and the partnerships and the people in your life, and looking to see what's truly stimulating you there. You're really kind of unpacking all the different sides of your relationships during this time frame and seeing what truly connects, what's stimulating you, what's getting you going, what's kind of like pushing you further, what's pushing your boundaries further. Gemini is all about kind of pushing the mental explorations. It's a very curious sign. So, what relationships are engaging you in that kind of curiosity, and which ones are kind of revealing themselves as null and void, or things in areas of your life that you could communicate yourself and work through some of these circumstances? With Venus retrograde in Gemini, it is going to be very much so about having those conversations and having those communications with the people and the partnerships in your life. Maybe the certain things that you've been avoiding. Now with Venus going in retrograde, it's the time to kind of confront that and communicate your needs and communicate your desires, and try and integrate those new stimulations into your life and see what's connecting with you there. We do also have Saturn over here retrograde in Aquarius still. Later he will dip back into Capricorn here, but with Saturn and Aquarius, again, we're looking at the connections in our life. So has a lot to do with the people that we're surrounding ourselves with and the relationships that we're surrounding ourselves with. And are these people connecting with our values over here with the Sun in Taurus? And are these people connecting with our future, with the future that we see ourselves having, and the future that we see ourselves truly wanting out of this life? Aquarius has to do with the future. And Saturn is what blockages have you been putting up for yourself in that area where you maybe haven't been engaging with the kind of people or connections or societal groups or social circles that are necessarily conducive to you growing into the person that you see your true value in over here with the Sun in Taurus. And again, we do have Pluto and Jupiter here retrograde in Capricorn. So this is about a lot about looking at ways in your life in which you need to kind of grow up and step into the authority of your life, and kind of look at the opportunities that are coming your way, and taking those actions and stepping through the fear and owning that authority in your life. And with Jupiter retrograde over here in Capricorn, it is going to be more the doors have been more challenging to walk through. But at this point, it's about looking at kind of the decisions that you've made as you've been looking to the ways to restructure and integrate these new elements into your life, and see what's been working. Have these decisions truly been made in a way that's out of alignment with you, or is this feeling off course in some way? Is there some way that we can course correct? What lessons do we need to learn throughout all of this? And let us not forget that we do have the nodes as well here. The North Node has switched over into Gemini, and the South Node has switched over into Sagittarius. So the focus is going to be a little bit different now with these karmic nodes. We have the North Node in Gemini over here with Venus and Mercury in his ruling sign of Gemini over here as well. But it's going to be a lot about looking to new environments and looking to new places and looking to what's stimulating you and what's connecting with you there. It's going to be less about what's feeling more comfortable, right, where the North Node has been, but more about looking at, okay, we found a little bit of what our comfort zone is, but now let's get curious about that. Now let's explore that. Now let's see where we can expand that, okay? Let's see where we can expand our perspective, expand kind of our mental faculties, really kind of look at all the data and kind of seek for a neutral, non necessarily emotional perspective in your life right now. Just kind of picking things apart and seeing, this is what's working, this is what's not, this is what's connecting, this is what's stimulating, this is what's not, and kind of taking those lessons so you can integrate those in. But with the South Node over here in Sagittarius, you can get kind of caught up in some of the dogmas, right? Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and there is this kind of dogmatic aspect to that where you can get very kind of fixated in these certain moral beliefs and these moral values that you can tend to believe are the absolute truth without seeking to kind of broaden those horizons. And that's where this curiosity comes in with Gemini. Gemini just wants to be curious and see what's going on and come out of the dogma and just look at the facts for what they are and look to connect with things that are stimulating. And I want to point out as well that Saturn rules time, right? So Saturn in retrograde, time can feel almost elastic or fluid in a way, not necessarily in a comfortable way, but almost in a misty way. I get like a misty feeling when I think about kind of this idea of time with Saturn in retrograde over here. And and I thought about this because I heard another astrologer refer to the feeling going on with all these retrogrades as timelessness. And I thought, well, what is timelessness? What exists outside of time? What exists outside of space? And that's energy, right? And how profound is that? So if we're in a time, right? If we're we're in a period where we're in this kind of fluid timelessness space, what is there? There's energy. What exists outside of space and time, but things that connect with you energetically. And that's very Gemini. That's very Aquarius. This is very with all of this air energy over here, Mercury, Venus, the North Node, and then we have Saturn over here in Aquarius. It's not so much looking to the emotional comforts and the emotional stimulations and the emotional securities. It's what's energetically connecting with you there. What's stimulating you there? What new ideas, what new visions, what kind of new directions and kind of new places for your future are starting to kind of stimulate that inner soul voice and that inner need inside of you to kind of explore that and break yourself out of some of maybe these indoctrinated truths that you've been holding on to that are revealing themselves as something that's no longer serving you in this life. So there's a lot to unpack here going on this Monday, and I know I've gone over more of some of the retrograde stuff as well, just to kind of catch up with everybody. But I love you all so much. Let's pull a card for the day and see what's going on there. Ooh, who flew out? We had a couple cards fly out. So we had the Four of Pentacles come up with the 10 of Pentacles. So there is definitely with the Four of Pentacles, there's some kind of guard up. There's something that we're holding on to. There's some kind of attachment that some of us are holding on to that we're afraid to let go of, to kind of step through this door and kind of take on some of these challenges and enter into a new life that could propel you into potentially a better place. Meanwhile, it being more challenging to walk to, but there's some form of security, whether it's financial security or a security in a relationship for some of us, or security for some of us in kind of a pattern or a behavior that we're addicted to, but something is blocking this kind of breaking free into exploring these new mental spaces within yourself. And it's interesting that we pulled the 10 of Pentacles as well, because dropping this guard, dropping these 4 Pentacles that are blocking all of your essential chakra spaces, this is completely blocking off the heart chakra here, unable to communicate in a compassionate, heart-centric way. It's holding yourself back, but releasing that, kind of dropping this guard, is leading us into this 10 of Pentacles space where you're able to find the magic in the mundane. You're able to find kind of the connections, and there's abundance, and there's beauty, and there's happiness, and it's in this physical world. It doesn't have to be something so metaphysical, right? Sometimes when we drop our guard, we can get a very visceral, immediate physical response of the universe coming back and abundance in that way. Okay, you've dropped that guard. You've had the faith that you will be taken care of, and that if you are taking those steps curated towards what feels like it's in your soul's alignment, dropping that guard is going to bring you into these 10 of Pentacles, which is just absolute abundance and complete satiation and complete knowing of your worth, and it's a very magical place to be. This is one of the best cards to get in the deck, but it's going to take some of us walking through that fear and letting go of some of these attachments that we've been holding on to. It might even be a job, having to make a job switch, a career change, something that you've held on to. Is kind of, a lot of people identify themselves with their careers. And I know with a lot of the world circumstances going on right now, there's a lot of shakeup in that. So some people might be really holding on to this identity and this career that they've had for themselves, that it looks like they're going to have to be creative about making a switch up. But this could be leading you into a new direction and a new life and a new avenue that brings you these 10 pentacles of abundance on the other side of that. So a lot to look at this Monday. So in any case, I love you guys all so much. Don't forget, with the moon in Aries as well, it's a great time to get out there and just be creative and be active and get out there and get some movement, right? Discharge some of that Aries energy the same way that in our ionosphere, the earth has to discharge lightning to get rid of some of that energy. Sometimes, especially with the moon in Aries, it's a great time to discharge some of that excess energy out into the environment by getting active and getting out there and going for a run or going for a walk and just enjoying nature in that kind of way. But in any case, I love you all so much, and I will be back tomorrow with your daily astrology.